A very good morning to all. And today in this session, uh, we'll learn how to test hypothesis. Okay. So as we all know what hypothesis is, and uh, we need a scale or we need a parameter to check a hypothesis, and that parameter is our probability. Okay. So let us suppose if I give any attempt, okay, and I have given total attempts 30. And out of these 30 attempts, I got success around, let us suppose 22 times. Okay, so this is my probability that out of 30 attempts, I got success 22 times. So it will be my probability for when I will try for 31st time. Okay, when I will try 31st time, then I will see my legacy data, my previous data, and that is my probability that out of 30 I got 22 times success. So I'll convert it into percentage, so that will be my probability for 31st time. Okay, but there is a problem with the, just a minute. So the problem with probability is we can only use that probability for the next occurring event. Okay, but for future we cannot use that. Let us suppose if I ask you that if for the 65th attempt, what will be my probability? And I have given only 30 attempts, so I won't be able to find out. So in that case, we use series of probability. Okay, and that is if we see this graph. Okay, so we use probability distribution curve. Okay, to find out the future, we use probability distribution curve. Okay, and this region is my 95% region. So we all know what is our level of confidence and our level of significance. So now here, this is my level of significance. Okay, this green area. Now I have taken two tail test. Okay, means we have tail both the sides, left side and right side as well. This is my level of significance. Okay, and this level of significance is denoted by a symbol that is alpha. Okay, so now as I told you earlier that if our p value is less than if our p value is less than 5%, then in that case we have enough evidence that we can reject our null hypothesis. Okay, so this is our null hypothesis and this is our alternative hypothesis. Okay, so if our p value is less than 0.05 means 5%, so it means we are here in this graph. This is our level of confidence. Okay, so in that case we are enough confident, we are more than 95%, we are confident that our null hypothesis is wrong and we can reject. Now we have to keep one thing in mind. We want to check whether the null hypothesis is rejected or accepted. Okay, we want to check that null hypothesis will be rejected or accepted. But to check this, we put a test, we try a test, and that test is applied on alternative hypothesis. Okay, if alternative hypothesis if our p value is less than 0.05%, in that case we can say that our null hypothesis is rejected. We will never say that our alternative hypothesis is rejected. Acceptance and rejection, it will be only done for null hypothesis. To check that, we apply test on alternative hypothesis. Okay, so but if my p-value is greater than 0.05 or 5%, in that case, my null hypothesis will be accepted. Okay, so one more thing, whenever we say that our p-value is greater than 0.05 means 5%, 5% से अगर ज़्यादा है हमारी p-value, okay, so we cannot say that H naught or our null hypothesis accepted. We will say that we do not have strong evidence to reject null hypothesis. Getting the difference? Okay, we are not saying that our null hypothesis is accepted. We are saying we are not having a strong enough evidence to reject null hypothesis. Okay, so if you remember this line diagram, now see, this is my line. Okay, and till here it is my this is my 95% region, and this is my 5% region. Okay, so this is my level of confidence and this is my level of significance. Okay, here in this two-tail test, level of significance, because it is two-tail, so one side it will be level of significance divided by 2, and here also it will be alpha by 2. Okay, so if it is 5%, okay, if our parameter is 95%, we are taking p for 5%. In that case, it will be this tail will be 2.5%, and this will also be 2.5%. Okay, so total my level of significance is 5%, or I can say 0.05. Now, let us suppose the value which I got after testing the hypothesis, I got p-value 0.03. So if I convert it, I will get 3%. Means 3% means I reach just here only 3, because this point is 5. Okay, so this is 3. This point. It means it is less than 5% because it is 3. As I told you, p-value is 0.03, so it is less than 5%. It means my null hypothesis is rejected. I have a strong evidence. If I see from this line, our parameter, our scale was 95%. If I'm 95% confident, then yes, we can reject null hypothesis, but my p-value is only 3%. So I reach here as well. So now this time my level of confidence is 97%. Although I set it for 95%, but 3% is 3% is my alpha value, level of significance. I got this p-value 0.03, and so my level of confidence will increase to 95%. 95 and this region plus 2. Okay, so it will be 97%. Means I have 95. I'm 97% confident that I can reject null hypothesis. Okay, now what will happen if I say that my p-value is, let us suppose, 0.10? It means if I convert it, I will get 10%. So if my p-value is 10%, so I will cross this bar. I will cross this area. Okay, and just a minute. I will reach here. This value is 10. So if I am reaching here, my level of confidence now it is not 95%. It is only 90%, because this area is already covered by p-value. So this time I'm only 90% confident. So if in sciences, as I already told you, the set parameter is 95%. You have to be at least 95% confident to reject null hypothesis. But here in this case, we are only just 90% confident. It means we do not have strong evidence to reject our null hypothesis. In that case, our null hypothesis will be accepted. Okay. So, as we have already discussed the type of errors, okay, type 1 error is when my p-value is saying that accept h naught, means null hypothesis we have to accept, but I'm accepting alternative hypothesis. So this is an error. Okay, and this error is known as type 1 error, and sometimes in some books we will get it alpha error. Okay, type 2 error is when my p-value is saying reject h naught, but still I am accepting it. Okay, so this will be my type 2 error, and we also say it beta error. Okay, so now we got the hypothesis, we got the p-value. Okay, so how to test that hypothesis now? So to test a hypothesis, uh, there are two type of tests. Number one is a parametric test, another one is non-parametric test. So if I talk about parametric test, so it means whenever you are doing some test with parameters, means there is some boundary, there is some restriction. Okay, then it is our parametric test. Okay, when we do, some you have seen some laboratories, they are they have closed boundaries in lab. Okay, so means within some boundary we are doing some that test. So that will be our parameter test. Okay, so there has to be some restriction, some foundation. So what is that parameter? Why we call it a parametric test? Because we are having one parameter, that is our probability, that is our p-value. That is why it is our parametric test. Okay, and the example of parametric test are z-test, t-test, ANOVA means analysis of variance. So these type of tests we have for parametric test, and our parameter is p-value. There are some other tests which are non-parametric, where we don't use p-value. Okay, means there is no boundary. So what are the examples? The examples are Kruskal-Willis test, we have Mann-Whitney test, and chi-square test. But all over the globe, mostly 95% times we use chi-square test. So our focus will be on chi-square test only in non-parametric test. Okay, so let us suppose uh, I'll give you example how to test and how to reject or approve the hypothesis. Firstly, Newton said that time is constant. Okay, time is constant. So that was our null hypothesis, because Newton already said that there is a gravity and we accepted it. Okay, so that is universal truth. So again, now Newton said that time is constant. So this is uh, we accepted at that time. But later on in 1904, Einstein, Einstein, he challenged that hypothesis of Newton that time is constant. So Einstein gave theory of relativity. Okay, so what Einstein did, he is challenging that hypothesis. So that theory of relativity is our alternative hypothesis. Okay, and Einstein proved it. So when Einstein proved it, that time p-value was less than 0.05%. It means less than 5%. So our null hypothesis will be rejected. Getting the point? Our null hypothesis will be rejected. Why? Because that parameter, that p-value is less than 5%. So Einstein was more than 95% confident that time is not constant. What Newton was said, it was wrong. So that is why now we take time as a variable. It can change. Time is not constant. Okay, not equal or same for every place. Okay, so this is how we, you know, we reject or accept our hypothesis. Now, if we talk about the parametric tests, the number one is our t-test. Now, So just a minute. Okay. So firstly we'll take t-test. So there are three types of t-test. Number one is independent samples. Number two is paired samples, and third one is one sample. Okay. So now what is independent sample? Let us suppose uh, Baba Ramdev ji, they have given coronal tablet, okay, to fight with corona. So in this pandemic, Baba Ramdev ji, he proposed one tablet, that is coronal tablet. So now we want to check whether that tablet is working or not. See, in sciences, we cannot rely on mean only. Okay, with mean only, we cannot say that there is some significant difference is there. So for that, we need a t-test. So in independent sample, let us suppose I took 30 people. Okay, I have uh, uh, 50 people. Okay, and I gave them that coronal tablet. Okay, and I have another group, again 50 people in that group, and uh, coronal tablet was not provided to them. Okay, and both the groups, the people are corona positive. Okay, so to the group one to whom I have given this coronal tablet, after 7 days or 14 days, I will check if there is a significant difference in the level of corona in these two groups. Getting the point? Okay. I have given coronal tablet to these people, this group one, and their corona level is something. Uh, let us suppose there is some level 10, and the group which was not provided with coronal tablet, their level was 15. Now, with mean only, I will not rely on mean, okay, to find out whether this coronal tablet is working or not. Okay, so to find out the significant difference in these two groups, I will apply t-test. So now keep this thing in mind. These two are different groups. We have two different groups. Okay, one group is provided with the tablet, another was not. So when we are having two different samples, and then we are applying t-test on that, that will be our independent sample t-test. Okay, there has to be two, but we cannot take more than two groups or two samples. This is the limitation of t-test. Okay, and that is why we use ANOVA, where we can have n number of variables or n number of samples. Okay, so this is a limitation, but when we have two independent groups, okay, different groups, that will be independent sample. Now, second one is paired sample. Now, I took this example. See, I have this data. I have the data of height. Okay, I took 10% from Dehradun, 10% from Haridwar, let us suppose. Okay, and this is the average of their heights. This data is height. Okay, so this is the height from people from Dehradun, and this is people from Haridwar. So I took the average. Okay, I got the mean for Dehradun. Mean is 69.25, and for Haridwar it is 67. Now, if I arrange this data, this let us suppose this Haridwar data, if I arrange this in ascending order, let us suppose, okay, let me do ascending, okay, done. Okay, so now let us see if I rearranged this data from Haridwar, will this impact this another data? Will this impact the data of Dehradun? No. Mean will again, it will be remain same. So this is my unpaired data. This is my unpaired t-test. Now, but now take this another data. I have boy's height, okay? And at the age of 5, Ram was having uh, 30 inches height, and at the age of 15, it was having 65 inches height. In the same way, Vijay was having 35 inches of height at the age of 5 and 68 at the age of 15. In the same way, we have these 10 records. Now, if I arrange, rearrange, if I uh, put it, if I do in descending or ascending order, this height at the age of 15. So what will happen? What will happen? Yes, means this data will be destroyed because this another record is also belong to Ram. Okay, Ram was having age at the age of 5, he was having 30 inches of height, and at the age of 15, he was having 65 inches of height. If I at the age of 15, if I rearrange the data will be destroyed. Getting the point? So this is our paired test. Okay, this is our paired data, and when we apply t-test on these type of data, that is known as paired sample t-test. That is known as paired sample t-test. Okay. Now third one is one sample. One sample means, let us suppose I have this data. Okay, this data, and this is the IQ level of my employees. So now from this data only, let us suppose the average of this data is 69.25. Okay, the mean is 69.25. Now from within this data, this person Ram is having IQ level of 72. So now I'm checking that this 72, how far it is from that mean 69.25. Vijay is having 63 IQ, level of IQ is 63. Now, how far this 63 is from that mean, 69.25, means I'm testing within one sample. Okay, within the sample, I'm taking each and every data and I'm comparing it. So that will be my one sample t-test. Okay, so there are two types of t-test. Oh, sorry, three type of t-test: independent samples, paired samples, and one sample. Okay, now uh, we get muffled that where to apply z-test, where to apply t-test. It happens when you will do analysis. You will get muffled that now should I apply z-test or t-test or ANOVA? How you will find that? Okay, so just a minute. See, when we apply z-test, this is the formula: x bar minus mu divided by sigma divided by underscore n. Now, what is this x bar? X bar is mean of our sample. What is mu? Mu is mean of population. I hope you all remember this formula. Okay. Sigma is standard deviation of population, and n is number of sample. Now, We apply Z test only when we are going to check whether the sample which we have taken from the population, if that sample is representing that population or not. If that sample is representing the population or not. Let us suppose, let us suppose uh, I have scores of batsmen, okay, and I have these scores. Let us suppose uh, 110, 0, 27, let us say 45, 60, 35. In this way, I'm having a data. Okay, so these are scores of batsmen. Now, this is my population. And for example, I'm just assuming that mean of my population is, it is 45. Okay. Now I took sample from this population. Let us suppose I took sample of 30. Okay. And when I took the sample, the mean of my sample was, let us suppose 105. Now, does this sample representing my population? Does the sample is representing my population? No. Okay, if we see that mean of population is 45, and here it is, if I took 30 samples from that population, now the mean is 105. It means this sample is not representing the population. Might be I have arranged the data in descending order. Okay, someone scored 110, someone scored 100, someone scored 95, someone scored 90, then 87, then 85, then 80, and in this way, someone scored 0 and all. So I took first 30 records, okay, and when I first 30 record as a sample, and when I find out the mean, it was 105. Okay, so but my mean of my overall data, my population, is 45. In this case, my sample is not representing my population. So if we have to check that my sample is representing the population or not, then we will apply Z test. But one very important thing is you must be knowing the standard deviation of population. Getting the point? You must be knowing the standard deviation of population. If you don't have standard deviation of population, you cannot apply Z test. Okay, and in all the cases we will never have, most of the cases will never have these standard deviation of population. So now what we'll do, we have alternative, we have t-test. Now what is the function of t-test? That is x bar minus mu divided by s underscore n. See, all the things, all other things are same, only here we have changed sigma with s. Now what is this s? S is the standard deviation of sample. Okay, if even if we don't know the standard deviation of population, but we can easily find out the standard deviation of sample. So in that case, we will apply t-test. So this is how we will find out when to apply z-test, when to apply t-test. If population is known, then we can apply z-test. Okay, but if population is not known, then we can apply t-test. Z-test, when we will apply, we will apply z-test when we are from the same population. I'm checking that my sample is representing that population or not. Okay, but t-test I will apply when I'm having two samples, two different samples. Now, in some books you will see, you will get that you will find that we can apply t-test only. The limitation is data or records should be 30, not more than that. Okay. If we are having more than 30 records, we cannot apply t-test. You will find this in some books. Okay. But when you will go for data science, this is not true. Now the logic is the degree of freedom. If you see the T table, T statistics table, you will find degree of freedom there. Okay. When the sample will increase, degree of freedom will also increase. When the sample will increase, degree of freedom will increase, and the T graph, the T graph will come near to the Z graph or the normal distribution curve, the bell curve. Okay, so in that case, we can apply t-test. So whenever you are in dilemma that we have to apply z-test or t-test, with 100% confident, you can apply t-test. Go for t-test. Okay, even all the tools, even I will show you tomorrow while we will using R, that if we having more than even 1,000 records and we apply t-test, you will get same answer as you will see in z-test. Okay, because all the tools, they will convert that T statistics, okay, with the Z statistic. It will remain same. So there is no boundary that we can only apply t test for 30 30 records. So there is no limitation. Okay, all the tools, either you use R, Python, SAS, even Excel, they do this. Okay, because this is the concept. When degree of freedom comes, in that case, t graph, if you will see, it will come closer to the your normal distribution curve. Okay, got this point? Okay, so z test is performed in cases where the standard deviation is known. Standard deviation of population, I'm not talking about sample. Okay, and t test, it is used or it is performed to compare two samples where sample standard deviation is known, and it is, very easily we can find out. So this is the table. With this table, you can easily find out what are the difference between z test and t test. Okay, this population, here it is known, here it is unknown. Sample, standard deviation. Now comparison, sample versus population. In z test, we are comparing we are doing comparison on sample versus population. In t test, sample versus sample. Okay, so now once we will apply these tests, so let us suppose I apply t test. So I will get t statistics, and from that t statistics I will get the p value. That is my probability value. Okay, and now I will check that my p value is less than 5% or greater than 5%. If it is less than 5%, then I will fall in this area, in this green area. Getting the point? If my p value is less than 5%, it means I will fall in this area. And when I will fall in this green area, it means null hypothesis will be rejected, because I am having more than 95% confidence. I have evidence. Okay, okay, इसको आप इस बात से समझिए, किसी ने मर्डर कर दिया, ठीक है, अब हम कोर्ट में हैं, किसी ने मर्डर कर दिया, कोर्ट में है, और जज साहब के सामने एविडेंस दिखाए गए. गेटिंग द पॉइंट? हमने एविडेंस दिखाए जज साहब को, बट जो हमने एविडेंस दिखाए उससे जज साहब 95% कॉन्फिडेंट नहीं है कि वो एविडेंस प्रूव करें कि इसने मर्डर किया है. तो जब जज साहब 95% कॉन्फिडेंट नहीं है, तो हम उसको सजा भी नहीं दे सकते। मीन्स जो हाइपोथेसिस आपके लॉयर ने रखी थी या दूसरे लॉयर ने रखी थी कि इन्होंने मर्डर किया है, बट वो जस्ट आपको 95% कॉन्फिडेंस में रीजन, इस रीजन में, ये जो आपका ऑरेंज रीजन है, इस रीजन में नहीं ला पाए। इट मीन्स जो नल हाइपोथेसिस थी कि इन्होंने मर्डर किया है, हम ये नहीं कह रहे कि इन्होंने मर्डर नहीं किया। वी आर सेइंग वी आर नॉट हैविंग दैट स्ट्रॉन्ग एविडेंस दैट वी कैन प्रूव ही हैड डिड दिस क्राइम और नॉट। हम ये कह रहे हैं कि अभी हमारे पास एविडेंस नहीं है कि हम प्रूव कर सकें कि इन्होंने मर्डर किया है कि नहीं किया है। Okay, so we will never say that H alternative hypothesis is accepted or rejected. No, alternative hypothesis पे तो हम बस टेस्ट लगाएंगे ये देखने के लिए कि हमारी नल हाइपोथेसिस ये एक्सेप्ट हो रही है कि रिजेक्ट हो रही है। Okay, we will always say that null hypothesis is accepted or rejected, and to find that we will apply test on alternative hypothesis. Getting the point? So we have to find out with this level, with the p-value, we will try to find out in which region we are falling. We fall in which region? Either we are falling this 95% region or in this level of significance, this alpha region. Okay. Now, take one more example. Let us suppose my p-value, which I got, is 7%. 0.07. I'll convert it 7%. Now, what will happen with this my level of confidence? Let me draw. Now see. Now see this. This will happen. If my p-value is 7%, means I have crossed the bar of 5%. Okay. So my level of confidence, it will reduce to 93% only, because my level of significance is 7%. My p-value is showing me it is 7%. So my level of confidence, it will reduce to 93%. So now I'm not 95% confident. So in that case, I cannot touch my null hypothesis. Null hypothesis is accepted, or we don't have enough evidence to prove or to reject null hypothesis. Okay, so are you getting with the graph? Okay. Yes. Okay then. So this is enough for today. So tomorrow we will apply this uh, T test and Z test on R. Okay. We'll see what will happen with R and how to apply these tests. We'll take some data set. Okay. And we'll take linear regression or multiple regression data set. And on the same data set, we will apply these tests on R. Okay. For any doubt, for any point you want clarification, you can WhatsApp me, you can call me anytime. Okay. So till then, take care. Bye bye.